Hey folks, welcome back. Today is June 6th, 2025, and it is the last video of the Pontiac potato series. Now the reason that this is gonna be the last video is because we're coming into harvest time. Now today we're gonna harvest a couple, but we're not gonna harvest the whole patch. And the reason why is because a couple of the plants that I saw of really good size are starting to get hit with, I think, late blight, which actually hit my entire Yukon Gold patch. You can see that video linked above. And just to keep it from spreading a bit, because the plants are still pretty green, I do want to get those two out. Now I'm hoping that this whole harvesting process, which will probably take place over the next couple of weeks, yields much better results than the Yukon Golds. The conversion on those were pretty terrible. 14 pounds for I think 80 roughly was not what I was looking for. With the reds, I think I'm gonna do much better. For no other reason than I think my problem with the golds, was I had too few seed potato pieces across the beds. And what I mean by that is my red potatoes across these two beds, I think one has 44 pieces, one has 46, so 90 in total across these two beds. The Yukon Golds for the same space had, I think, 54 total pieces across two beds. And the reason that happened was the seed potatoes I got of the Pontiac Reds were smaller, but even the bigger pieces, the chits were easily identifiable. Even though they really weren't chitted out well, I could see it and cut smaller pieces. Whereas the Yukon Golds, I don't recall having any small potatoes, and they weren't chitted out pretty much at all, so it was hard for me to break them down into smaller pieces to see where the chits were to make sure that every piece got one. So I gave every potato more space for the Yukon Golds, but I don't think that really mattered. I think if I could have taken all those pieces, broke them down a little farther, spread it across the beds, the yields would have been better, which is what I'm hoping happens with the reds. So let's harvest a couple of these, and then we'll put the video on pause until I decide to harvest more, and then we'll pick it up then. And before we go ahead and harvest, this is the condition of the two beds. I'm really happy with how everything's gone. One thing I've done really well this year that I didn't necessarily do as well in prior years was I stayed on top of the potato beetle. I really made it a habit every day, just about every day, to come out here, walk the beds, and pick off as many as I could see. And the overall defoliation is low compared to what I remember it being last year and the year before. We still have a lot of green here, which is another reason that I don't want to simply start picking willy-nilly. But you can see, we've got some discoloration going on. This is actually, I think, potato beetle juice. I don't think that's actually blight, because I'm not seeing, it's not dry and papery at this point. If we come back to the end here, this is where I think I've got more of the issue. I hope the camera's picking this up. I know it's some shadows going on, but this to me, this I think is blight, and this can get down in the tubers. So I think this plant here, these two plants in the back, we're gonna pull off today. And I think our yields off these should be pretty darn well. These are, if you're facing north, which is the other side, from the other side of the bed, these were two cut pieces that I actually didn't cure over. I just cut and planted. So they're gonna be a little bigger than some of the other pieces that I have, but I still think the cut pieces from these were smaller than the golds. So when we dig these up, we'll see what we got going on. This should be a good one. I'm excited for this. Got to get some wins after the gold experience. So the first thing I like to do in a situation like this is go through and get rid of the foliage. It's just easier to work through when it's not in the way. So we're going to see where these are coming out of the ground. We don't need to get right at the ground level, but anything I can do to kind of clear up some space is what I like to do. And yeah, I got some yellowing leaves at the bottom. We got some more, what I think is more blight, pretty extensively low. It's not really in the stem at this point, so hopefully we don't have too many of the potatoes themselves with the issue. Gosh, some of these stems are big. These, I don't know what it is about the back side of this bed, but all four plants, 1, 2, and then the two on the other side, on this side of the bed, they just seem to be monstrous compared to some of the ones in the middle of the bed, which are a bit smaller. So when I think about that, one of the challenges I'm going to have mentally is the fact that I'm probably going to wind up getting the the biggest yield from these two plants, and then it's almost like it's downhill after that point. But so I'm not going to bother. I don't use a fork. I don't use a shovel. I don't really want to get an implement in there that can actually damage the potatoes. I like to kind of just get after it with my hands, and I feel like I have more control over that, so I don't do any damage. And you can see the roots are running out quite a bit. I think we're just going to grab this guy and pull and see what we got. So we definitely have more room for growth, because you can see we've got some small guys here. Now, one thing I'm planning to do later this year is, I say later this year, not even that far from now, it's a good sized potato, is I'm going to, another one, I'm going to replant some of these smaller seed potatoes, I say seed potatoes, that's another good one, in another bed. I'm going to save some of these about yay size for seed potatoes, because what I want to do is plant in mid-July for hopefully a mid-October harvest. And the reason I want to do that is because I'd like to see if I can actually grow potatoes for that harvest, if for nothing else for seed potato for the following March. Because anything I try, I can't save at this point, because I don't have a storage spot that's going to keep them cool enough and dormant long enough to where they're not going to rot out on me by next March. But if I can harvest in October, when I store in the house where things are cooler, maybe they'll hold. Got another nice one there. Just got the skin with my fingernail, so that's not a great thing, but we're not storing these, so I'm not concerned about that. That's a pretty nice little haul from that that piece of sweet potato, which I actually may have found there. Is it? Nope, we got another potato. Wow, yeah, I think this is gonna go. I'm not trying to get my hopes too high up, but I can tell already this is probably going to be a lot better of a bed and a variety than my Yukon Golds went. And if you want to see something fun, this is what I get to plant in. And I am in the Piedmont region of North Carolina, so we are known to have sticky red clay as our base, but top dressing this native soil with wood chip and organic matter over the last few years has led me with a planting surface that is a lot more agreeable to, physically working. Plus you get the nutrition of clay, which is always nice. Now if we scrape back this guy, I can already tell I've got some really good sized potatoes over here. Wow. And let's see if we can just... Well, I know there's going to be a lot more than that. But yeah, so these all probably could have continued developing. But like I said, I saw a little bit of blight on some of the leaves, and some of the yellow potatoes that I harvested the other day actually did have legitimate blight damage on the roots. I think that's what I ID'd it as. So I just don't want to risk it. Another good one. Yeah. This is a gift that keeps on giving. And there's more. I don't know who he's off of. He might be off the one in front of him. But we got him now. Now we just had rain yesterday. Again, it's been a really wet spring. It was a really wet winter this past year too. So I'm trying to be relatively careful with trying to grab the soil and move it around without damaging any potatoes that I'm not seeing or feeling. I think that's about it. All right. So that is the end result of 2 pieces of seed potato. I think that is a great start to these 2 beds. I think my yields are going to be much stronger here than they were at the golds. And in the coming days, as we continue to harvest more, we'll keep updating this one, and then we'll get a final result and see if we met our 10x conversion goal, which was originally what I wanted to do. And yeah, I could use the boost right now. So signing off for now. See you in a few days. June 7th, folks, and I'm getting impatient with these red potatoes, primarily because I am starting to see a little bit more blight, and we are just getting so much rain in the forecast. And my fear right now is, coming into the 90 days, what is the chances of the older potatoes that have grown underground actually starting to almost germinate themselves with all this moisture? So I'm so tossed up about how much to pull at this point, because the plants are still really green and really healthy. But let me show you one that I'm thinking about pulling right now. Now, far and away, this is not the biggest potato plant that I have out here, but I am seeing this blight issue, which again, I think it's a blight issue. Yeah, cripply leaves. This plant over here is kind of odd because I don't know from which one he's coming. Like, it almost looks like, because that's awfully close to this one, so I just don't know if I have a germinated potato under there that wasn't actually a seed potato. That's one of the potatoes that grew. I'm just kind of lost right now as far as what to do with this plant. Plus, I really want to clear it so I can get some more sweet potatoes in, but with all the rain coming in, I just don't know what the right move to make is. Not usually this indecisive when it comes to harvest. I usually just harvest and go when it feels right, but something just hasn't felt right thus far about the timing of this. And maybe it's because I'm getting greedy and I'm trying to hit my yields. So I don't really know mentally from which direction it's coming. But I do want to get this one out, because when I just came over to them a second ago, I saw a lot of potatoes close to the surface, and that tells me that, well, I don't know what it tells me. Maybe they're getting pushed up from other potatoes in the ground, which means that we could probably just get this guy out of here and call him done. So I think that's what I'm going to do. One, two, three. Wow. A lot more foliage there than I thought. So we actually had 4 pretty good size shoots that grew off of him. And little potatoes here. But I can just feel there's a lot of action under here right now. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be as big a haul as we had the other day, I don't think. But again, this is perfectly respectable. If I can even get this out. I mean, yeah, we got some smaller ones. Like I said, these could be seed potatoes coming up in another month or so. I don't want to use my claw if I don't have to. All right, we're gonna get these guys off to the side. That's 1, 2, 9 potatoes right there. 4 of which are pretty respectable sized. Another small little seed potato sized guy. And I know there's gonna be, yep, there's another one. And here's our original seed potato. I like this size. This is beautiful. A fraction bigger than this guy, but the yield that came off of him seems pretty good. Might even be more under here. We'll see. Little tiny guy. Little potatoes are edible too, folks. Another good one. But I want to see what's going on with this. Is this a plant? I think that maybe that is a plant. Certainly has very spindly shoot systems. I just don't know what's going on over there. I'm not feeling much. Then again, this guy over here is pretty spindly too. All right. I'm gonna pull him too, just for my own volition. That little haul is from that one potato. That big old haul is from the other. So this is the final harvest of the red potatoes. Today is June 12th, and I think I got somewhere around, I'd say 6+ buckets. And each bucket clocked in at somewhere north of 20 pounds. So I think I probably cleared over 120 pounds. I don't know if I quite hit the 140, but I can't be unhappy with a haul like this. I really think the big difference between this and the Yukon Golds were I think the difference was the potato piece size. I took across this, this variety, there were 90 pieces across the two beds. The Yukon Golds, for the same number of seed potato weight, which was 14 pounds, I only got 54 pieces across the two beds. So I could see when I was harvesting the Golds that the potato piece size was huge. And the yields per plant were very similar to this one. So I really, going forward, that tells me really try to get that egg size sweet potato, the egg size seed potato piece size is really what I'm looking for to maximize my yields. And again, that's just a hypothesis. The fun is I get to try this again next year. And not only are the red potatoes out, but the two beds that house them now have about, probably 120, 130 sweet potato slips between the two of them, give or take. And now I got to weed the path so it looks nice and pretty. And then these two beds are just waiting for a little bit more rain, and they're ready to roll. And that, my friends, is the 2025 red Pontiac potato journey. It was a good one. It ended better than the Yukon Golds, and at the end, that's all I could really ask for. I think I learned some things that I'll take forward to next year, and I definitely learned a few things that I will avoid doing next year as well. One of the biggest challenges I have here is the fact that we've got a pretty short spring season. It gets hot pretty quickly to where I know that if the plant didn't get hit with a disease, the temperatures would kind of give the plant up pretty soon thereafter. But I am going to try planting some seed potatoes in about a month's time to see if I can get 3 months out of those and actually produce something to where I can hold those sweet potatoes for seed potatoes for the following year, because maybe I can close this loop and not have to buy seed potatoes again. I think it's worth a shot. Thanks for taking this journey with me. I'll see you in the next one.